Good evening, everybody, and let's talk with Paula. Okay, this is a show that tonight that where we talk about interesting topics, and we usually have guests that do interesting things as well. But we have one of my old standbys that's been with us through COVID and everything else. Okay, that he's here tonight with us. We missed him for a few weeks because he didn't make it for almost a whole month. But we have him here with us tonight, and we're going to have him introduce himself.
Hey, good evening. My name is Donald Bell, and I am very happy to be here this evening. I'm an attorney. I'm an attorney here in Prince George's County. My office is located in Greenbelt. This is my 20th year as a lawyer, and I'm celebrating that, and I'm happy to be here with you this evening.
Well, congratulations to you for your 20 years, man.
Yep, this is year 20 for me.
Get out of here! Congratulations.
I was just thinking about that when you were talking. I was like, yeah, this is 20 years.
Yeah, congratulations to you. I mean, that's a milestone.
Yep.
Yep.
And I've spent all 20 of those years here
in
Prince George's County.
I'm sorry, Prince George's County. I'm sorry.
Fighting for consumers, trying to help people, save their homes from foreclosure. I think we won more than we lost, and helped a lot of people, and hopefully God will bless us with, another 20 years.
Well, I'm saying another 30 years.
Yeah, I got that 2-year-old home, so I need 30 more.
Yeah, so. You need 30 more. Well, you need 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that would be, you need 4 more years, 40 more years. Yeah, 40 more years, man, 40 more years.
Oh, I like that. Okay. Thank you so much.
40 more years in Jesus' name.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so, I mean, I know, and your biggest thing is about generational wealth.
Yes.
And we've taken that little slogan on since you said that all the time, that your most important thing over there in Prince George's County is to make sure that people keep their homes, don't go bankrupt, and be able to pass on their homes and have generational wealth for their kids, like your child.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And I think that is so important because there might have been one other person that's been on here that said something about generational wealth between you and I, okay? But I just think that's so important.
Our State Farm friend talks about it quite often.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Dave.
Yeah,
Dave does.
He talks about it. He talks about, having adequate insurance and, ways to protect your family in case, something happens to you. So.
Yeah, and Dave was on here by himself last week, okay? And he carried the show. I could not talk.
Yes.
I mean, I'm serious. I mean, Tom said, oh, listen to you. I said, I know. And they both said it right. So I just let him carry the show, because this thing has been lingering on for over 3 months. And I thank God that my son, and it was another friend of mine that gave me some medicine to take to try and see. At first my doctor told me when they gave me the medicine, no, you can't take that. Okay, you need to take what I tell you to take and don't take anything else, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, okay, but when we got hit month 3, right? It was
no positive.
Nothing, and then some other things was going on that it was like, oh no, okay. I know that I used to tell people years ago when they just had NyQuil in the liquid form, man, when you first feel like you're getting a cold, take NyQuil. It'll knock it right out, And so with the medicine that the friend had given to me, I tried that, and it kind of was trying to move along, and then I guess it said, And the doctor in the hospital told me years ago when I was in the hospital, she told me to always eat applesauce, because I'm a diabetic. So she said, eat applesauce at nighttime for a snack. If you think you're not eating like you're supposed to do in the daytime, make sure you eat applesauce. And so this other friend that gave me this other man said, well, make sure you eat applesauce. I said, oh, my doctor told me the same thing. And I have it anyway. And so then Paul came in one day and said, I'm just sick of this. I'm going to go out and get you some NyQuil.
Yes.
And he got me some. I didn't even know that NyQuil came in gel. Look, I don't have any stock of NyQuil, okay? None whatsoever.
Yeah, they have the Dayquil and the NyQuil.
Well, yeah,
and you can buy it in in a box.
Yes, and that's what he did. At first he bought me the Dayquil before the other friend gave me the other medicine, and my doctor told me not to take it. He bought the Dayquil, but the Dayquil wasn't really doing anything for me because I wasn't trying to go to sleep. I was trying to get well. And so when he bought these gel caps in the house, oh my God, I was like, it was night and day. You know, I don't know whether the other medicine had started me on that process or not, you know, but I was still last week. Tom don't even have, and Dave, you know, I said, oh no, you can't do that, because I mean I sound like a frog. Nobody wants to sit down and listen to for a half an hour to a frog, right? So the NyQuil Dale pills along with all this other stuff. I've been taking for 3 months, and people say, "You've been sick for 3 months." Yeah, I've been sick for 3 months. Okay, something else going on, ain't your business. Okay, you know, that kind of thing, right? So I'm just glad that today that I'm able to. And then I've been in the house for the last 4 days. I haven't been outside, so I haven't been out, none of the allergy stuff that would have, and that's probably what's helped. This is my first day out in 4 days, right? So I know that probably if I had been out, the allergies would have kicked in, you know, even though you take allergy medicine, you know, it would have probably kicked in, and I probably wouldn't have been able to talk. But yeah, I mean, I didn't even tell my doctor I was taking the NyQuil. I just went on and took it, okay? Mm-hmm. So when I see it, I'll go back and I would tell her, I said, you tell your patients to take that NyQuil. In that gel cap?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm able to talk to you tonight.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
because
I'm gonna pray for your continued healing.
Please.
And hopefully the people out in the audience will as well. So.
Yeah, and I do enlist you to please pray for me, because whatever's going on with me, I just ask you, would you keep me in my prayers, and you know, by His stripes I am healed. You know, that you would do that for me. I'd appreciate it. But it's a lot of things that's out there sitting in the news that I'm kind of confused of, and I know you and Dave kind of stay abreast of those things. Why are they trying to get rid of the House Speaker again? Well, this is, you know, every time you turn around, and aren't they the two that they got rid of? Are they trying to get? Aren't they Republicans?
Yeah. So there is a faction of the Republican Party called the Freedom Caucus. Mm-hmm. I think it's about 7 or 8 senators, very conservative senators, mm-hmm. and basically they are sort of almost really controlling what the Republican Party is doing in the House of Representatives.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
And the previous speaker from California, they actually ousted because they knew that if they put it up for a vote, that because the House is almost so evenly divided, they mm-hmm. knew if that all the Democrats would vote against, would vote to remove him, mm-hmm. because, you know, they're Democrats, he's a Republican. Right. They want to remove him. Right. And maybe put a Democrat in there. Right. But they knew if they took their 7 or 8 votes and voted with all the Democrats, then they may have enough votes to remove him. Mm-hmm. So I think this really has to do with the aid packages going to Ukraine, mm-hmm. And aid packages going to Israel. Mm-hmm. Some of those, that Freedom Caucus, mm-hmm. That group of 7 or 8 Republicans from the House of Representatives, they either don't want it passed by the House because it's already been passed by the Senate. Mm-hmm. So they either don't want it passed by the House, or they want to control when it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. So some of the representatives are threatening that, hey, if you bring this bill up, mm-hmm. we're going to
go for impeachment.
We're going to go for impeachment, mm-hmm. Not impeachment, but they're going to go for removal. Okay. They're going to vote to remove the current speaker, and I believe this current speaker may have been part of their group at one point in time.
He was. Yeah. And then the president called him to meet with him at Mar-a-Lago, right?
And you mean the previous president?
Yeah, the previous president. Yeah, Donald Trump. I'm sorry. Okay. Somebody said that last night on television. I didn't even correct it. I'm sorry. Please, I apologize, President Biden. You know, that was a slip of the tongue. Okay, but a person said last night on the news that, well, last week it was on the news that they said that he had called the House Speaker down to Mar-a-Lago, right?
And he went.
Yeah, and he went, right. Okay, and then...
Well, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but Donald Trump controls the vast majority of the Republican Party. Mm-hmm. So most Republican politicians are beholden to Donald Trump. So if Donald Trump calls,
Say come, you come.
you'll come, because if he gets on his social media platform and he begins to speak, to badmouth you and things of that nature, then even the people in your own district, place, the place where you live, they're going to listen. And, people in the House of Representatives, they have to run for re-election every 2 years. So it doesn't take very long for a challenger to pop up. And even though you are, the Speaker of the House is either third or fourth in line to the presidency. So even though you're probably one of the most powerful people in this country, you can quite easily be voted out if Donald Trump and the Republican and the Republican Party turns on you. So that's the reason why the Speaker had to go and see what Donald Trump wanted, because
right. And he said that somebody interviewed him after he left, and he said that, I got this from the news, okay, but look it up, that he said that the president was backing him after that meeting, right? Well, they showed a clip that they asked, well, so-and-so does so-and-so, are you going to support him? He said, oh, well, we got to see what happens and we see how that works out, So, which he does to a lot of people that he got in his pocket,
Of course.
And then they think that they have his support, and then if you talk to the news, he talked to a news reporter, then it's like, I'm not going to put my seal of approval on it, we're just going to see what happens, but you didn't told this guy the night before, oh, I got your back, right? Because he came the next day when he had that, news reporter talk to him, he felt very confident that Donald Trump was going to support him.
Well, I think Donald Trump may have told him, I got your back if you do what I tell you to do.
Yeah.
So if you don't do what I tell you to do, then
we got to see about it.
Yeah.
But he called himself doing what he asked him to do, but then some of his constituents still got upset with him, and they still trying to remove him from that seat.
So there, I read that that the Democrats were have either had a meeting or they're having a meeting to determine whether or not they would support, if there was a call for removal, whether or not they would support it, because this group of 7 or 8, they derive their power from the fact that they know that if they vote with the Republicans, then they can put something to the House, because all you need is a simple majority in the House. But if they do what they did to Speaker McCartney and vote with the Democrats, then they can remove. So I think the Democrats are like, okay, maybe we're not going to let you play that game with us anymore, because there is the business of running this country, and we are not going to let this 7 or 8 stifle this country, like with the budget that had to be passed. Right. This group of 7 or 8, they basically stifled that. I mean, they stopped that process, and they were going to put this country's on the verge of default, on their obligations like Social Security, like paying people who work for the government. Military things of that nature.
But they were the ones that was holding. I don't mean to, but they were the ones that was holding up those bills. They're the ones that were trying to make those bills difficult. Because Donald Trump says that we don't need to have Social Security, and people better pay attention. Okay, Donald Trump says that we don't need to have Social Security, and we don't need to be paying government workers as much as that we pay them. You know what I mean?
Well, I think Donald Trump believes that the federal government, and I think that's been a a staple of Republican, of Republicanism, smaller government. So I think anytime a Republican comes into office, they're generally looking to downsize the size of the federal government. They believe that the federal government should be smaller and that the state should have more
say-so,
more power, more say-so.
But here's the thing, that people that are on Medicare, they wouldn't have Medicare if they had not worked and put their money into the system.
Yes.
Okay, we're talking for years and years. Okay, I'm not talking about yesterday or 5 years ago. Those people, up to and including me, we worked. and we paid our dues to have that security when, when the time came around, when you had to do some other things too. But I'm talking about for yourself. But for you to do away, and I can't understand is that he's a senior citizen himself, but he's always going to get that salary that he has. That's the difference, is that his salary is not going to change,
Well, I mean, Donald Trump is a wealthy man.
Well, see, now you got to go back, because they keep finding out that he's not as wealthy as he says.
But he's wealthy enough that
Excuse me.
he's wealthy enough that he doesn't have to worry about using
His own money.
Medicare.
Yeah.
So
that's what I'm saying. Use the Medicare.
yeah, he doesn't. I mean, whether he's worth, the
$1 billion,
billions that he says he is, or
Yeah.
whether he's worth $500 million. Someone who's worth $500 million, someone who's worth $1 billion. There's more money probably than they'll ever be able to spend
For Medicare. That he would.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I mean, it's more money than he would. I mean, he has enough money to
Sustain himself.
Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm just saying that he got to have some relatives. Come on now. Everybody in his family's not well off to do.
Well, I mean, I don't, I try to be as objective as possible, but I mean, I think we all know that Donald Trump cares about Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah.
And if he has to sacrifice, or if he has to throw somebody under the bus, then I don't think. I mean,
He doesn't care.
I don't think that bothers him a whole lot. So.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't. I mean, I don't know if that really holds sway with Donald Trump. But I mean, that's probably the nature of the business that he's been in. I mean, a lot of people who are in corporate life, I mean, that's sort of how that's how their mindset is,
Yeah, because they're saying that they're finding out now that all this money that he says he has, or he tells people that his property is worth more than what it actually is, and they find out that it's actually not, and that the monies that he says that he has, that they actually are revealing more now that he doesn't have all this money that he says that he has, and they're saying that that's why he's trying to sell Bibles. Not the Bible as we know it.
Well, I mean, I think Donald Trump is trying to come up with cash.
Yes.
So someone can be very wealthy, but they can be cash poor.
Yeah.
I mean, people who have access, people who have property, and people who have good credit, and they have access to, be able to get loans at very favorable rates and things of that nature. So they may not have a lot of cash, but they may still be wealthy. So you can have someone who has $1 billion in assets, okay, and maybe they owe $500 million on those assets, and so their net worth is $500 million.
Right.
But they may have very little cash
that they can put up for a bond.
Well, yeah. But they have $500 million in equity in that property, so they can go and borrow against that.
Or sell it. And that's what they say he's doing, that he's having to either borrow on it or he has to sell it.
I think he's going to borrow. Yeah, he's going to borrow against it. He's never going to sell it because, that's prime real estate in New York City, so it's going to continue to go up in value. So.
Well, last night they also said on the news that, I had that right on the tip of my tongue, that I think it's his news company, the stock went down significantly over the last few days because he had put his platform out there, what he was going to run on, and that apparently his people didn't like it, and so the stock, it went in a whole nother, it was a significant amount that the stock dropped on his newspaper, and so I don't know, and I can't understand.
But I think he's already made all the money that he invested in that. I think when the initial public offering happened a month ago, I think he made more money than he would have ever than he invested in it at that point in time. So I think he's already made money off of that. So right now the stock is being offered on on the stock market, and the price is going down. That's just hurting people like you and I. It's not hurting him. I think he's already made his money. The people who did the initial public offering, I think they've already made their money.
Yeah.
That's how business works, you know?
Okay, because it was one of the millionaires that actually went into that deal with him
Yeah.
so he could get that cash flow that he needed for that bond that they told him that he was going to have to pay.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to look a little closely at whatever was done with that. And I think that's what
That's what they're insinuating.
what the Attorney General up in New York is doing, because that bond may not be what we think it is. So I don't want to speculate on it, but you know, I think what's her name, Attorney General James. I don't want to mess up her first name, but I think her last name is James. I think, you know, she and her team are looking into that bond because it may not be worth or what that company is leading on to say that it's worth.
I don't know, because that's been in and out, and you know, it's been tossed back and forth. And then you see some drastic moves that he's making so far as finances are concerned to make sure that that bond gets paid, because every day it doesn't get paid, it goes up in value. So what it was cut at, what the news said, that eventually if he doesn't pay when he's supposed to pay, that every day that is not being paid, it's going to wind up being back to the original amount that it was set, because he's not able to pay it. Okay, and so that's why they said that he was shopping around. But that's what they're assuming. You can't say what somebody's conversation is if you weren't sitting there. Okay, you know, shopping around trying to get some of his billionaire friends to try to give him this cash money, so that it will not go back to the original 45, I think it was 45 billion, I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, the original judgment was, I think, it was a $454 million judgment that was entered against him. And then the appellate court, and typically when a judgment is entered against you and you want to appeal it, you have to put up a bond. And the bond may have to equal the amount of the judgment.
Okay.
Okay? And so the original court, the Court of Origin, said, no, we're not going to reduce the bond.
Right.
If you want to appeal it, then you got to put up
some more money,
the equivalent of that 454 million. You know, and that would have probably taken all the cash that he had. You know, because again, even though he's a billionaire, billionaires don't keep $1 billion in the bank.
Right.
They're trying to make money.
Right.
And you don't make money by having to sit in the bank.
Right.
You know, so, but he needs money to operate his businesses.
Right.
So that's the reason why he wanted the bond, and then the appellate court came in and said, hey, we're going to reduce it. We're not going to require you to put up the 454 million. We'll let you put up 175 or 174, whatever the number was.
I don't remember what the exact number was, but I know it was reduced. But
Yeah.
even though it did reduce,
Well, the judgment wasn't reduced. It was just the amount that he had to put up the bond to do the appeal.
Right, and he had so much time to get that money together. Else, by every day, it was going to accrue.
Well, the judgment is accruing interest, because
Right.
anytime there's a judgment that's entered against you, it's going to accrue interest at the judicial rate of interest. So whatever New York State's judicial rate of interest is, like in Maryland, the judicial rate of interest is 10%.
Okay.
So if a judgment gets entered against you in the state of Maryland, it's going to increase by 10%.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
every year.
Okay.
So that's why by year 7, a judgment can double. You know, because it's increasing every year. So the longer this goes on, if he doesn't win, that that judgment is increasing. The amount is increasing by the interest that's on that.
Well, I thought it was also against the law for you to sit up in a courtroom because it's disrespectful to the judge. I heard this from somebody else. Okay.
Yes.
And 2 days that he was in court, he actually was asleep, and he was asked a question. They said it kind of jolted him because he had to wake up. Okay, but I thought that it was disrespectful for a client, you know, a person that's sitting in court that's being judged, to sit up in the court and go to sleep.
Well, generally a judge sets the rules for his or her courtroom, and if a judge deems your conduct to be inappropriate, then the judge will warn you and say, hey, you know, I don't want you sleeping in my courtroom. And, you know, the judge may give you ample opportunities, but at a certain point, a judge can hold you in contempt, saying, hey, you know, I've given you this, and, you know, I've given you these warnings, and you continue to, not follow my rules.
Right.
You know, but I don't know that there's necessarily a law
A law rule, okay.
against sleeping in court, but a judge can say, hey, if
You
you're going
need
to
to
be in
wake
my
up.
courtroom,
You need to pay attention.
You need to wake up and pay attention.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't know that the judge really cares one way or
Well,
the other.
this judge he's just said some very nasty things about him and his family.
Yeah.
So this judge is on top of it. So I think that the reason for the person after the second time he went to sleep made sure that he woke up. Maybe that might be the rule. Okay, I don't know because they never said.
Well, I mean, the judge may call lawyers. I mean, I've had situations like that where the judge may call you up to the bench, or the judge may take you back in the chambers, and the judge may say, hey, you know, you need to control your client, or hey, you need to ensure that your client is not sleeping in my courtroom,
Right.
or hey, you need to ensure that your client is not creating a scene or having outbursts in my courtroom, you know, and they may, you know, as a courtesy, you know,
Yeah.
let the lawyers know, and then, you know,
And if he does it again,
then they may let the person know, and then if you do it again, then the judge can very well hold you in contempt and say, hey, I'm gonna fine you X amount of dollars for this.
Right.
I've warned you twice.
Right.
I'm gonna fine you X amount of dollars. Or, you know, I've seen some judges, you know, order somebody held, you know,
In contempt.
well, held, you know, in jail.
Oh, is that right?
Order you to jail, yeah, for being
What?
in contempt of court. Yeah.
Okay. I know I've watched a lot of TV programs. I'm not in the real courtroom, so you the expert on that,
Yeah.
okay? But I'm just saying that they seem like they having a issue, him and that judge, okay, back and forth on different things that he said. I think he kind of quieted him down though when he talked about his daughter or his dog or somebody he did. He told me talking about his daughter. I think he went around the next day and talked about his dog.
Well, I think Donald Trump does what Donald Trump
He
wants to do.
does. He is, and he don't care.
Yeah,
You
so-
know, he really does.
And I think that's what some people admire about him.
Right.
I mean, I don't understand that, but I
I don't
think
understand that either.
that is something that some people admire about him. I mean, he kind of speaks his mind and he kind of does what he wants to do.
Yeah.
And he doesn't really follow any rules
Any
other than the
rules.
rule. I mean, any rules other than the rules that he wants to follow, you know,
Right.
or the rules that he makes.
That he makes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he said that he also said in one of his speeches that a president should be able to do anything that they want to do while they're the president of the United States and after, and they should not be held in contempt.
Well, I mean, that's interesting, and we're about to run out of time. We could do a whole show on that because you know, there are rules in place where a president cannot be prosecuted while in office. I mean, the only real check on a president is the power of Congress to impeach and to convict the president of high crimes and misdemeanors. But I'm gonna cut it off there because I know we're almost out of time.
Yeah, because they just said that last night. But anyway, thank you so much,
Yeah.
you know, for being here, being that expert, because I know that's a lot of topic, you know, that's going around about these cases and things that's going on with him. And
But
I
with
think
all
it's
this we've
important.
been talking about, I think it's very important that we say in this last 30 seconds,
May 14,
get out and vote.
May 14,
Get ready, folks. This is going to be an election of a lifetime.
yes.
You need to get out and vote.
Yep, you got Allison Brooks, you got David Trone, and you got the ex-governor
Larry Hogan.
Larry Hogan. So with that, we're going to say good night and get out there and vote. And Donald, tell the people good night, man.
Good evening.